A big hello and welcome to everyone. Thank you really for joining us from across ASEAN, ANZ, and from beyond as well, all the other borders. We're thrilled to have you here with us for this town hall. And we're just going to kick off welcoming Dan and MJ onto the town hall. All right. So just some starting introductions. My name is Ivan, and I'm the community manager for the ASEAN region, and I'm your host today. Whether you're a long-time member of the GTIA community or just getting started, you're in the right place. Today's session is all about connection between strategy and community, between global leadership and local action. We have with us today two visionary leaders, our GTIA's CEO, Dan Wansley, and CCO, MJ Shaw, who will be sharing GTIA's direction and community strategy across our global ecosystem. But first, before we bring them on, I'd like to give you a quick snapshot of what's happening across our ASEAN and ANZ community. Very exciting news, we're kicking off on the ASEAN Community Meeting Series from July 2025, starting in Singapore on 17 July, followed by Indonesia on 16 September. More news on other countries that we are landing soon in ASEAN. Additionally, our ANZ Spotlight Awards is coming up on 10 September, and nominations for awards will be closing tomorrow on 20th June. So if you know of any superstars who deserve that special call-out, do send it our way. Finally, if you haven't heard, our GTIA State of the Channel 2025 research for ANZ and ASEAN editions are available online for your browsing. So please feel free to check out that research that we have done and be able to utilize that in your presentations and own research as well. Now, I'd like to take this chance to share that this town hall session is more than just a corporate update. This is a conversation and you are an essential part of it. Whether you're tuning in as a partner, a community builder, a tech leader, or someone passionate about driving real impact in the ecosystem, you belong here. So here's the deal. Stay off mute mentally, even if you're on mute physically. Yeah, it's kind of a paradox. Use that chat, light up the Q&A, react, comment, challenge, contribute. We want to hear from you. And that Q&A and chat segment is going to be available throughout the session. This is your chance to help shape GTIA's future in the region and beyond. We've built incredible momentum across ASEAN and ANZ, and the best part, we're just getting started. So let's lean into the energy, the insights, and the vision our speakers are bringing today, and let's show the world what truly connected global tech community looks like. Let's dive in. Please join me in welcoming GTIA CEO Dan Wansley to kick the session off.
Well, Ivan, thank you very much. Tough act to follow, and very much appreciate not only pulling this community meeting together, but all of the efforts you're doing on behalf of the members and GTIA in those regions. And great job with the introduction. This is our third town hall that we're doing across the globe. MJ and I are excited, and you're lucky. This is the third one, so it's going to be the best one because we've had two to practice on already. But we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us today as we share sort of this next evolution of GTIA. Last week, as we were representing GTIA at a conference and event in Denver, Colorado, the Pack Safe Beyond conference was actually the 6-month anniversary since the brand name change. So it's an exciting time for GTIA, and we're really just getting started. As just a way to introduce myself to you in the membership in these global regions, I wanted to take a couple of minutes. If you aren't aware of my history in the industry, I have been blessed to spend 30 years in this outstanding industry, working with some innovative technology companies across the globe, but most importantly, working with tens of thousands of IT service providers and MSPs along that journey. And we have gone through many enhancements since the early days of remote monitoring and management software to innovation around security to innovation around how we're delivering value to clients. Those have remained consistent, but the evolution continues. And I've been really excited to be a part of some just outstanding organization and groups that I know have had a really big impact on the industry. But for me personally, and for the businesses that I've run, it's been my 20-year membership within this organization that has really paved the way for me to eclipse and get to the point where I get to join MJ and Kelly and the rest of this great GTIA team to bring the membership to new heights and new value moving forward. And that's some of the themes we want to share with you today. I did spend 3 years on the board of directors. MJ at the time was the chair of the board, so arguably my boss at the time, and I strive to become his boss one day so I could pay him back on a couple of things that we will be happy to share with you. But no, it was a real privilege to serve on the board, to get that experience over a decade ago from 2012 to 2015, and then a decade later to join this organization as CEO. And one of our claims to fame for MJ and I even mentioned the Spotlight Awards, which we are so excited about. I really think this is an important initiative to recognize the members and our community who are doing great things. And I had the privilege, Todd Thibodeau, the CEO, asked me to join MJ in presenting the very first Member of the Year award to John Tippett that we did at an event quite a few years ago now, but that was a real privilege. So again, I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself a little bit and talk about some of the things that we are looking for moving forward. Also wanted to share with you sort of our first 90-day priorities. Again, 6 months into this evolution of GTIA, we all couldn't be more excited. But over the next 90 days, and what we've done in the first few weeks of my tenure here is to align the leadership, establish the direction based on member feedback and our goals for this organization, and provide some defined outcomes. We're really steering towards defined outcomes, as you're going to see here throughout today's conversation. Also to engage with members, listen and learn. And Ivan, his team, all of you on this call, all of the members across the globe, your feedback is what we're here for. And we're going to talk about some of those themes. So it's been a hectic first 5 or 6 weeks here, but the conversations continue. Today, I'm talking to you from Alberta, Canada. We'll be over in Europe starting on Friday. We're there next week, and our globetrotting continues. So anxious to get out and listen to learn. But please, at any time, your community leaders such as Ivan are there to bring your feedback forward. Our next goal is to strengthen our industry relationships across the globe with other partners, with other entities, with other communities. The fourth one is to elevate our community, our events, our membership, and ChannelCon. ChannelCon is one of the flagship events for GTIA and for the industry, one that I personally have attended over 20 years, and we're excited to share with you some of the things that we're going to be doing to enhance that as we move forward. But as I mentioned, the first priority was to really align leadership and establish direction. And as I came in and started having these conversations to join this organization at this level, this was critically important. And I wanted to share a couple of pictures from some of the behind the scenes efforts of an incredible group of individuals, both from an experience standpoint and most importantly, a pure dedication of giving back into this channel and back into this community. Led by Tracy, who is our chair of the board, and co-chair Scott Barlow, and all of the members of the board of directors have done an incredible job. And I had the privilege of not only going through this process to join this organization with them and talking about some of the themes and theses we'll talk about today, but to get to spend some time with them as we put these into practice. But this could not be done without other executive leaders who've done such a great job. And nobody emulates that more than MJ and what he has done since the days he was my boss on the board a decade ago to the years of service he's provided in this role. I also had the extreme privilege of working with Kelly Ricker prior. So she was a part of the association when I was on the board, true leader and just an incredible asset to this organization. And coming back to GTIA just in the last 6 or 7 months here, incredible contributor. And we as the 3 C's of the organization are working well together to deliver more value to the members, which we all agree is paramount to everything we do. Again, I mentioned the board. We're super excited about what the board of directors is bringing into the market. We have 3 great new board members who joined us for this term most recently with Kimberly, Carrie Green, and Peter Melby. Some great representation from the IT services community and some innovation expertise with what Kim is bringing. We're excited that you'll hear some of their content coming up at ChannelCon on Recorded, or if you're able to attend and join us. And again, can't thank Tracy enough for the effort and guidance she did as the chair of the board through this transition for the business. So some of the themes that we really centered around, and as I talked about what has made the businesses that I've have the privilege of being a part of previously successful or contributed to some of that success, is to really build a solid foundation that the entire company, the organization, and most importantly, partners, or in our case, members, could really understand and build from. And all of them, I can tell you, over the last 30 years have started with that first pillar, which is people. Ensuring that we've got the right people, the best people, the committed people to are driving the results of the organization for the membership is critical. And I know we have that in your community leader with Ivan. Resources is the next pillar for GTIA. The resources, the assets, the materials, the community that we're delivering to you is vitally important. And then it comes to that community. This is a core pillar. This has driven the industry in my 30 years experience. Peer groups, the ability to come together, speak together, collaborate together is vital to our industry because of the advancement of technology, the speed of which we need to adopt in all of our businesses. And the last one is advancement. This pillar is to really establish that we here at GTIA, although we are a not-for-profit organization, all of you, our members, are for profit. And we need to be driving the community, the resources, and giving you the people that helps you drive your businesses forward, that helps you deliver more value to your customers, that helps you advance your own career, which is one of the reasons I joined this community over 20 years ago, was for very selfish reasons to understand this industry better, to rub elbows and shoulders with some of the mentors that I had back then. And GTIA and this community was the conduit to be able to do that. And it's a really exciting time. So keep making sure that we're there to provide value to you every day is paramount. Some of the methodologies we have around supporting you, our membership, is all about engaging with members, getting out in the market, doing more. We literally just signed up, if you're familiar at all with the largest rodeo in I think it's North America, but I do think it's the world. It's held here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, every July. It's the largest in the world, and we'll be attending. But we're going with MSPs. We're going with some of our member partners, and we'll be participating in that. So engagement is critically important. To educate and share. That comes down to the resources. What are we going to provide to help educate and share best practices with each other, or share the innovations that are coming? How do we continue to build and inspire this channel, this organization, our members, each other as we move forward? And then, as Ivan mentioned, recognition and promotion and spotlight awards is a great example of that, where we are going to spotlight those who are giving back to this community, adding so much and doing great things. These are the folks that we all need to be looking at, and we need to continue to do a great job recognizing all of the volunteers in all of the communities across the globe. And the last is, as I said, advance and grow. We need to know that we are delivering an ROI for members in some value and tangible form each and every day. So this led us to have some conversations around the vision, mission statement, and core values for GTIA moving forward. And one of the theses around our vision will be to be where the IT channel connects and grows. At the most simplistic, highest level of value, this is where we start. We make the connection so that we can all grow as a community, as an industry, and as individuals. The next was wordsmithed 1,000 times, and I think put through every AI chat GTP bot available on the planet, but we got there. And a great, again, community of leaders here at GTIA, as well as members, crafted this, and we went back and forth, and it's still not done because we're going to announce the final at ChannelCon coming up, but this really does capture it for me. Our mission is to advance the people and businesses of the global IT channel with trusted, unbiased resources as an inclusive community that drives growth. Together with our members, we are also able to give back through impactful and significant charitable initiatives and donations that we're excited to talk about in the future. For us, for MJ, for Kelly, for all of the community leaders here, these have all the key words that we strive to deliver to you: advance, people, resources, community, growth, and charity. We have the opportunity to do all of those things. The next is sort of to talk about core pillars, to talk about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and to make sure we stay aligned with our membership and providing you the best value. And that starts with a member first mentality. Again, we're not for profit, you are. We have to understand that. We have to be member driven and be delivering you value. So we exist to serve and empower our members. Everything we do starts with your value and your success in our mindset. The second is to be growth minded. As an organization, we want to get larger. We want to do more for more members, and we want to do it thoughtfully with great new resources, but we want to stay curious and growth minded overall. Build together. This is the community aspect of that pillar, to build it together. It will take more than Ivan, MJ, myself, and the entire team to build these markets. We need your assistance. We need teamwork. We need to make further investments, but we will do that. But we've got to do it together. And last but not least is to enjoy the ride or share the vibe. We need to bring the energy, the passion, the positivity that fuels this industry. You'd think after 30 years and a bunch of successful businesses, you could get bored or complacent, and I'm certainly not, and I know MJ isn't either, and the entire leadership. Our passion continues to grow, and we know that exists for the members who are involved in GTIA as well, and we're super excited about it. And last but not least, I want to leave you on a couple of things. If we're going to provide true value, we have to know the desires of both the vendor community members and the MSP and IT service provider community members. What is your return on investment for this resource that is GTIA? For vendors, data, research, exposure, event interaction with you IT service providers, industry knowledge, partnerships, relationships, recognition, and integrations are all vitally important. And I can speak to this firsthand because I was one for 30 years on the vendor side. Working with ITSPs, what does this community require out of this industry and out of our association? Resources, education, events, thought leadership, benchmarking, peer-to-peer contact, include building that community. In a survey that I was privy to as I was coming through the process here with GTIA, events was deemed the #1 benefit and value from our membership. And that really speaks to the power of events and the power of community and why it remains so important in the industry moving forward. So we've been out there. We've engaged with members. Again, as I mentioned, MJ, myself, and others from the team all joined PAX 8 at their Beyond conference. There was about 4,000 in attendance. Rob Ray was the co-chair of GTIA, put us up on main stage. And this community, the PAX 8 community in attendance at Beyond, supported us extremely well. And it was just great to be out in the market and talking to this audience. We've done a lot here, and MJ's done the brunt of the lift here in the first 6 months of the GTIA. We've engaged in the market. We've done an incredible volume of media interviews. I was joined by Carolyn April, who just again, I have followed for more years than either one of us are willing to admit. And she provides such great analytical data into the marketplace and adds great value. And we engage, not all in bad lighting with big smiles on us like this, but that was a part of it, because we know that's a part of having a bit of fun inside the community. But they were 20-hour days from dawn till dusk of conversations around advancement of the channel. And that's what we continue to do and need to do for this community. Since the CEO announcement, and the reason I put this in there is not to get more of my face in these slides, because there's already too many. I will be the first to admit it. But the one piece of feedback that was consistent and the most humbling for us as an organization was that they were proud as a membership that somebody with channel experience at least had come in and taken on this role. And that renews our commitment as an organization to serve the channel, to serve you, our members. You're going to see new research and channel analysis. Carolyn and I had the opportunity to fly down to Florida and spend an entire day with Jay McBain from Canalys, and we've got some brand new insight and share that video conversation that both he and I had about the strength and requirement for community, as well as new data, new research, as two of the best analysts in the business went head to head on data. Also had the opportunity to join a session that went live today with Michael Dell as the keynote, but I was interviewed by Tiffany Bova. So as they were talking about the impact of AI on a global basis, these organizations also understand how important community was. So our session was, as it reads there, how AI and community are reshaping the channel ecosystem, because it will take us as a community to adopt these new technologies. And that's why we're so excited about our own event here coming up first at ChannelCon North America in Nashville. This will be a keynote and the first one event under the GTIA banner as ChannelCon. And we're making some big changes and investing heavily. We are so excited to announce the Channel Visionaries Power Panel that was just literally announced today. We've got the biggest, the brightest innovators in our space, including some of the newest, with Rania joining us from Kaseya, the brand new CEO of Kaseya. This will be her first public speaking outside of her own environment since taking on this great role. The CEO and founder of ScalePad, who also founded IT Glue, who also ran one of the largest MSPs in North America. Austin McCord, the founder of Datto and now of Slide, will share his expertise. Jason McGee, former CEO of ConnectWise and current CEO of Cynet and board member, as well as Nick Hetty. And he and his team just put on an incredible event, as we mentioned last week, that we had the privilege of joining. And we're going to do some new things at these events to make sure that we're adding value to both the vendors who participate and making those connections with the IT service providers. So we're doing hosted partner events that are also going to be part of ChannelCon moving forward. And we're really excited about the companies that have already joined into this program, and we're going to have more to come. And with that, again, it's a real privilege to work with this gentleman, to join him in this role and to do what GTIA is going to do for our membership. So MJ, nobody's more committed to the community than you. I turn it over, sir.
Well, thank you. That is a terribly kind introduction, but I would argue you and Kelly, and I would even go so far as to say our entire staff are equally committed. It's there's no question we have the absolute privilege to work with just an amazing professional staff and even better members. That's the best part of what we get to do for sure. Despite my slight concern about, now having a boss that used to kind of be under me and maybe looking to give me some payback. It seems to be my habit here, right? When I was board chair, I was the boss of our former CEO. So I guess this is my new pattern. I like these relationships. So it's great. Thanks, Dan, for that wonderful overview and your vision. You brought just so much to the organization in such a short time. It's been a breath of fresh air. And I think, the members and attendees here today are starting to see what our future is going to look like. And the future is just incredibly bright. So I couldn't be more excited. So as Dan talked about, we are leaning into our identity as GTIA, and a big part is that G. It's our logo, and it does stand for global. And we're really adopting the notion of thinking locally but acting globally. Most of you may be aware we currently have 6 regions across the globe: North America, which is US and Canada, the United Kingdom and Ireland, Benelux, DACH, and then our newest is our ASEAN community, and really got off to an amazing start. And Ivan has just been a terrific addition. And then, of course, our ANZ community. And so one of the things that we've moved on very quickly under GTIA is to have a dedicated community manager for each region. So Ivan is the newest member of the team looking after ASEAN, and I think his executive council is pleased to have him. We are in the final stages of hiring for a new community manager in our Benelux region. We've never had a community manager in our Benelux region, and we expect to announce that hopefully by the end of next week, if all goes well, before the July 4th holiday in the United States. And we're currently recruiting for a community manager in ANZ. We had a wonderful community manager that was with us for a couple of years, decided to move on and take a break from work for a little bit and pursue some other interests. And so we've been incredibly gratified by the response. We had dozens of applications come in within hours of us posting the position. So thrilled to see that. But we will continue to focus on our global identity and make sure that we're delivering the resources that you need locally with that global influence. And where you'll see more investment from us in the coming year into each of our regions to make sure that our members have the support that they need and the benefits and access to member education when it needs to be localized for language. ASEAN's gonna give us a good run for our money there with all of the different languages, but Ivan is helping us focus on the right things and is a good guide and helping us understand some of the cultural nuances, as has our executive council. Each of our global regions is run by a volunteer executive council of around a dozen members. And I can say that our ASEAN and ANZ executive councils are of the very best in our community. Definitely committed folks. I encourage you to attend our events and get to meet them. It's just a pleasure to work with them and to get their ideas and work together to bring impactful benefits into the region. So that's a bit about our global state. Dan mentioned ChannelCon and how we're really leaning in and elevating that event. One of the ways we're doing that is bringing that event brand globally. We used to have an event called the EMEA Member Conference in London each fall. We've renamed that, rebranded that to ChannelCon EMEA, and that'll be held the 13th and 14th of October in London at the Sofitel at London Heathrow. And my personal goal is someday soon, I would love nothing more than to have a ChannelCon APAC or whatever the right naming convention will be. Ivan and our ECs and our new community manager will give us the right guidance there. But boy, I'd love nothing more than to see that pull and demand for us to bring the ChannelCon brand into your region. So that's how we're thinking. And it may not happen overnight, but know that this is how we're thinking and what we're discussing and planning for as we continue to grow and expand our reach. And as Dan mentioned, we've got a very, very strong member first mindset. Some of these pictures are some of our Spotlight Award winners. You can see Ivan in there in one of the pictures at one of our events. I can definitely recognize some of these photos from around the world. And we're really going to elevate the recognition of our members, our Spotlight Award members. Every summer, every year at ChannelCon in North America, we name our Member of the Year, and we've been very, very fortunate to have global representation. We've got at least 2 Members of the Year from the United Kingdom, if memory serves me right. And I'd love to one day see a Member of the Year coming out of your regions. That there's no reason why there shouldn't be. But as Ivan mentioned, we're just about to close our nominations for our ANZ Spotlight Awards. It'll be on the 10th of September at the Sofitel at Darling Harbour in Sydney. And that's been a terrific event over the past 2 years. This will be our third. It started 2 years ago. It was an idea that this is a great example of member-led. The members started talking about the Spotlight Awards. Mohab Moses, who was working with us at the time as our part-time community manager in the region, said, I think it's time we bring the Spotlight Awards into the ANZ region. And he was right. And we kicked off our Spotlight Awards and had a tremendous response. Same last year. And we're really looking forward to this year. And not to steal Dan's thunder, but Dan is planning to come to the Spotlight Awards in September. And so it'll be a great opportunity for everyone in the ANZ region to get to meet Dan. And then Ivan's told us he's not letting us depart the region until we go up to Indonesia and have a great meeting in Jakarta. So there will also be a wonderful opportunity to meet Dan and the team around the Spotlight Awards. I think we're talking about the week after. So we're very much looking forward to that. And keep an eye out on our website at gtia.org on our events page to know when these events are coming up. We update that as often as we possibly can. But with that, I absolutely want to give some time to hear what questions you may have for Dan or myself. Let me turn it back to Ivan to see what questions we may have, and then we'll get through those, and then we'll wrap up with a few more thoughts. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan and MJ, for the insights and the energy. There's so much to take in and to get excited about. And as what MJ has called out, we're now shifting gears into a segment that's all about you, our members. It's time for the Q&As. Let's open the floor and keep the conversation going. We want to hear from you. Drop us your questions in the Q&A found in the Teams panel bar next to the chat function. You can keep those questions coming in. So we're going to kick off with the first question out of the suggestion box. This is going to be for both Dan and MJ. What's the long-term vision for community growth across ASEAN and ANZ? Are we prioritizing depth in a few markets or expansion across more?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll jump in because that kind of falls under my remit. Great question, and I'm glad someone asked that. So we are absolutely going to, I will say, stabilize our existing regions before we move on to a new region. We launched 2 regions in a year, the DACH region and the ASEAN region. And I remember after we did that, I said, we're never going to do that again because that was a lot. Now, it was successful and the response from the regions was terrific, but we've taken a step back and we've looked at our experience with the existing regions, feedback from members across the globe. And what we recognize is we want to see each region get to a stable place, which is not to imply that any region is unstable, but every region deserves the chance to grow and mature and reach, I'll call it, critical mass. And so we're actually defining the metrics behind that. And so once we get all of the regions to a baseline level of that stability and critical mass, that's when we'll look to move to the next region. But we absolutely don't want to add a region at the expense of an existing region. So as I mentioned earlier, you'll see some more investment from us in the regions to support the growth. We know that it's not realistic to ask a community manager all by themselves to build a region. We know we need to team them up with the appropriate resources. And some of those resources may need to be in region, closer to region. Some may be able to be centralized. But Dan has just a tremendous amount of very, very relevant expertise that he brings to the organization, and we're going to lean on him heavily for that. I am going to boss him around a little bit, even though it's not my job anymore.
You should. You represent the community and the members, so you absolutely should. But I think MJ absolutely articulated that perfectly. Growth for growth's sake is not enough. We want to grow, but add value and grow well. and then move on and grow again. So completely agree with that thesis and analogy. We will do well everywhere we go, but if you just go in and start growing without support, then things do not flourish. And we want to make sure everybody is flourishing first, and then continue to water it and move on to the next garden.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I think the next question is just as exciting, and it's going to really put the G right in front. How does GTIA plan to nurture cross-border collaborations between ASEAN and ANZ tech communities? Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh, I've got a great one for that. So there are several things we're going to do, not the least of which is, Ivan working with his colleagues to foster cross collaboration. We've had some great idea generations going on about how to share expertise between regions. ASEAN and ANZ obviously being on the same side of the globe, similar time zones, albeit a few hours apart. There's obvious connection there, connective tissue, just like you have across continental Europe. But one of the things that we're going to do is create what's called, or we have created, and it will meet for the first time this July, something called the Global Leadership Committee. And the Global Leadership Committee is going to bring together the volunteer leaders, the chairs and vice chairs of all of our member groups around the globe. It will be 28 individuals that represent all of our member groups across our communities, our advisory councils, cybersecurity member champions. And that group I'm going to manage that group directly with executive input and direct liaison to the board of directors. And the whole entire purpose of that group will be to foster cross-community, cross-region collaboration, sharing of best practices, leadership development, leadership pathways across GTIA leadership to really represent the interests of the members in the region on a global platform that has direct connectivity to the executive staff and our board of directors. So stay tuned, more to come. We'll be releasing, we'll have a press release announcing this group, and we'll have follow-up comms from this group. This group will meet twice a year in person and twice a year virtually. So we're super excited about that, and it should directly address that question.
Awesome. And now we have a simpler one. And I think members are all really excited to hear more about Dan and his background and his learning with us in GTIA all this while, this couple of weeks, in fact. So from the suggestion box, Dan, what's one thing you've learned about GTIA and the members since you took over as CEO?
Well, again, first of all, Ivan, you're going to go very far asking all the hard questions for MJ and giving me the easy ones. I appreciate that. Is exactly how
I asked
you to do it today. Very much appreciated. Well, first, again, I'd like this audience to make sure and the members to know I've been deeply involved in this organization for 20 years. Again, serving on the board, being a member, part of executive councils. What has been incredible since really coming inside the organization is the passion by all of the staff. I knew it was there in the membership because I've been there. I know the support we get from that side but to come in and peel back the onion, if you will, on this incredible group of people, and many of them, like I've known for years. Chris Phillips, you will know out in the marketplace. I've known Carolyn April for years. I've known Nancy Hammervick, who's still a major contributor to this organization for decades as well. But the folks who I didn't know as well inside of GTIA, the folks behind the scenes. We had an opportunity to bring a few of those folks out to the event last week who've been with us for years, but never been exposed to the market in a way we think is relevant. And we gave them that opportunity and they jumped at it. So I've really appreciated the acceptance of this group and of the staff to say, yes, we believe in this. We know what we've done, and they've done an incredible job of execution. Again, I've done ChannelCon myself for 20 years in a row. Always enjoyed the event, always skipped a pretty big long weekend here in Canada, the August 1st long weekend when ChannelCon North America typically is. Left my friends and family to attend because it was that vitally important. So we've done this organization has done an excellent job, but really impressed and excited for this team to take on these new opportunities to drive value to members.
Awesome. Now we have a very exciting question, and I think this stemmed out from MJ's call out of ChannelCon APAC. There seemed to be garnering support behind it, and one of the opinions that came in was have ChannelCon in Hawaii, where ANZ and ASEAN can participate, and it's a short flight. Good base to grow a homegrown ChannelCon. This is coming from David. And I guess perhaps the question would then be for all members, what are the primary metrics we're looking at before we could introduce ChannelCon into APAC?
Oh, I don't know that we actually know the answer to that question right now. We need to go back and kind of comb through our archives and look at what was the inflection point that brought us to bring it across to Europe or to the UK, and now we're talking about potentially moving it between the UK and Europe. Certainly, density of membership comes into play, as well as brand awareness and need. I think in ANZ, for example, I think it's fair to say that the MSP model, that the ITSP MSP community as a whole is relatively mature. That's a well-established model. Across ASEAN, for example, it's still very much an emerging model in some markets and an established one in others. So certainly you want to bring an event like that into a market that has really coalesced around the makeup of the channel, the vendors, the distributors, all of the consulting firms that come in, and the service providers themselves, right? Are they in transition from traditional resellers, system house consulting type firms, or are they very much into being mature service delivery organizations? And then where is the maturity within that as well? Is it infrastructure services? Is it full services built around business outcomes for the end customers? So, I think we need to see a given level of density and maturity across many of those areas before, quite frankly, we can justify the investment of bringing an event like that. Because different from other events in the industry, this is where we as a nonprofit can really do things differently and bring a unique value than some others. The event is essentially fully funded by GTIA. It's not a sponsored event. It's not, we don't have a massive income stream from the event. So we have to make sure that the dollars we spend on the event are going to deliver an appropriate value and ROI for the attendees on top of the investments we need to make in the core member benefits, the research data, the education, the local meetings and meetups, et cetera. So, Dan, I don't know if you have other thoughts about that, but those are off the top, those are my off the top questions.
Yeah. And again, our goal would be to accomplish that. But I think MJ touches on all the salient points of we've got to hit critical mass, we've got to hit size, we've got to be able to make this investment on behalf of our members. And it may start off with hosting this community at an existing ChannelCon event and coming over and doing one. And hey, could we bring 200 or 300 or 400 over for a ChannelCon North America next year and do a mini inside one before we make the incredible investment, which we would love to do and hope to do and aspire to do. But we want to make sure it's of incredible value. More for more is one of the themes that we're, really leaning into a little bit, but it more, as MJ discussed about expansion, more for the sake of just doing more is not enough. We want to be adding more value to more members every day. So I think there'll be stepping stones to do that, but the star vision is to get there and be able to do that. We'll do it together as a membership And let's, to go back to one of our core pillars, let's build it together.
I think that is a wonderful vision, and I believe our regions are up for the challenge.
All
Definitely
right.
looking forward. All right, the next question we have from David Norris. What are the plans to bring better communication between the executive councils?
Well, I think that's what the GLC is going to. I shouldn't say I think. We believe that that's what the GLC is going to deliver. We used to have something like that in place. Going back maybe 10 years at this point. And honestly, I can't tell you why it went away because that was before I joined staff. But I remember as a member, we used to have something called the Communities Executive Board, which at that time, we weren't as large of an association. I believe back then we only had North America and then added the UK at one point while that was still in. Now we're much broader. And we're bringing it back to do exactly that, to foster better communication between the executive councils. And we would hope that this organization and the members participate, this committee and the members that are serving on it will bring forward their ideas for global discussion about how we improve that as well. We're not expecting it to be the be all end all to itself as much as being the platform to facilitate better communication, better sharing of best practices and information to help all of you do better in your careers and with your organizations reaching your own goals.
Awesome. Meanwhile, before I go on to the next question, just a reminder to all our attendees, please feel free to light up that Q&A. I think we're having a really good engaging session right here. Just keep that momentum coming in. Next one, out of the suggestion box. Currently, the name GTIA is not as known as much as it is in USA. How do you plan on raising awareness for GTIA outside of North America?
Well, remember, GTIA as a brand is only 6 months old, so we've got some work to do even here in North America. I think that's exactly the point, and that's an area that we are investing in heavily. I will be blunt and open and transparent about this. Even a decade ago, sitting on the board with MJ, we talked about this organization being the best kept secret in the industry for the value it delivered, for the investments that it was making, for the resources it delivered. Not enough of our industry and the channel used it, and our utilization rates of even members was low. Those are all things that we are striving to improve on. And one is to get the word out and to share the value of this organization, the investments we are making, because they are incredibly significant, and it is all done to benefit members and to provide value to members. We have, being a nonprofit, it has alleviated the need for to drive profit, to be constrained by having a fiscal responsibility to drive shareholder value. We don't have that here. Our value is completely measured by the value we deliver to members. And that's our only goal. So I think we just need to lean into that, promote that, message that more. This has been a highly skilled execution organization, whether it's standing up a member community, whether it's executing on fantastic ChannelCons. I got to meet Shaq at a ChannelCon. It's still one of the best keynotes I ever saw, because I still quote my kids some of the learnings that he provided us during that event, and one of my favorite pictures. So we can make these investments to provide value, but it's vitally important that we continue to make sure we're doing that and get the name out and rely on members to share the name. We should be, and we will be, bigger than we are today.
That was very well said.
Absolutely beautiful answer. All right, next in the suggestion box. So I think it's a comment and a question. I noticed an event called a forum in the UK and Ireland. How is that different to the events out in ANZ and ASEAN?
Well, so I'll grab that one. So we have for years had an event in the United States called the Community and Council Forum. And that is when we bring the North America community and our advisory councils together for some hands-on work. And this year we've extended that into not just the UK and Ireland, but ANZ. So the event on 10 September that we've talked about a couple times with the Spotlight Awards is actually going to be the very first ANZ Community Forum and Spotlight Awards. And what makes a community forum different from a community meeting is that at the forum, you roll up your sleeves and you get your hands a little dirty and you work on initiatives and ideas and brainstorming to drive the region forward. So we have 3 forums currently going globally. And the community forum concept is actually something that we can roll out into every region. We've made the first expansion this year with the UK and Ireland and ANZ regions. Next year, if what I think I'm hearing in that question is that ASEAN would like a community forum, you got it. I would love to see that, where we pull up our, we roll up our sleeves together and we work on some initiatives that with the help of the executive council, we predefine so that when we come to that forum, we actually work on them and take that output. The staff will then take the output from that forum and package it up and turn it into the tools and resources and whatever outcomes that the members are looking for, so that you can then apply those in your businesses. So great question.
Yeah. Awesome. Now we have one from the floor. Given that you've mentioned that the number one benefit that members get out of GTIA events, which Mohab agrees with, by the way, what's the plan for events in ANZ for the rest of the year and in 2026? There doesn't seem to have been as many in the last 12 months.
Oh. Well, and you said that came from Mohab?
True? Is that true,
No.
MJ? Is that
No,
true?
it's not. Actually, we've had more events this year than we've had in prior. So we got to make sure that those messages are getting through. So this year we've had, let me think, we've had meetings in Auckland, Melbourne, Sydney. I can't remember if Adelaide was this year or last year, but for the remainder of the year, we just had a meetup in Sydney just a few weeks ago. So for the remainder of this year, the Community Forum and Spotlight Awards is the big focus in September. Mm-hmm. But I would absolutely expect that there will be another either series of meetups. We've been experimenting with, given how large the geography is, and this is true for the entire Asia Pac region, this is how we've addressed ASEAN, for example. We haven't focused on a single large meeting in one location as much as doing mini road shows, if you will, and trying to hit 3+ countries at a time. Similarly with ANZ, I participated in one, I think it might have been last fall, so this is 24, forgive me, but we went to Auckland, Sydney, and Adelaide. But I know this year we've been in Melbourne, Sydney, Auckland. We'll be in Sydney again. There was just a meetup in Sydney, and I would expect 1 or 2 additional meetups this year. We're actually working on our 26 plans right now, and you'll start to see those dates popping into that event list that I mentioned in probably around the time of our Community Forum and Spotlight Awards in Sydney. So Mohab, I may follow up with you, because if you're not getting the emails, I want to make sure you are, because you absolutely should. But I know the team has been working. We've got an entirely new tech stack under GTIA, and I know the team has been working really hard to refine the lists and make sure that the messages are getting to the right people. So I apologize that was the impression. Clearly, we need to make sure that we're getting the word out in as many ways as we can, and so that's an opportunity for us.
One of the commitments you made, MJ, on our EMEA call this week was, although we're not required or maybe needed and maybe even sometimes wanted, that there will be executive coverage at all of these. So MJ and I have committed to be at least one of us, if not both of us, at virtually every live member event across the globe through 2026 and bring in more. So if you're lucky, you'll get, or unlucky, depending on your point of view, you'll get both of us, but certainly one of us. And we're there just to support the great work done by the leaders you've got in that community, and make sure you know that they have the support of the executive, and we're there to listen and learn. And that's my primary role in here, as well as keep MJ in line as well.
That's a big job. That's you should get hazard duty pay for that.
Vice versa, my friend. Vice versa.
But all kidding aside, we also have a suggestion box. So if you think of something after this event today, please reach out. If you go to gtia.org/suggestion box, you can get ideas right to us, and you will hear back from a human. We actually read them, we actually respond to them, and let you know what's going to come from it. So please take advantage of that. We love hearing from our members.
Awesome. And I think we're just about time with one final question. I think this is going to be a really meaningful one for all our members. How can members more actively influence GTIA's strategic programs?
Well, volunteer to be part of your executive council. That's the best way. If you don't have the time or the interest, just get to know one of your executive council members and pass your ideas through them. They have a direct line to the community managers, to the entire team. And that information comes right back to us. And I'll even toss out, I've got the easiest email at the organization. It's just mjshoer, SHOER, @gtia.org. I would love to hear any ideas that you have, but you'll see more guidance from us about volunteer leadership opportunities, things like our suggestion box, ways to get ideas to us. We're a sponge for member input. So by all means, definitely utilize one of the resources available and get word to us. But just go to one meeting a year if you can only afford to do that, and you'll see who the executive council members are. You'll see who staff is, and please don't be shy. We love to engage with our members. We're here for you. I mean, that's our mission in life, is to be here and support you. So definitely, engage in any way that's appropriate for you.
Awesome. So thank you, MJ and Dan, for your wonderful insights and comments on all the questions from the community. Before we wrap up, just want to share with everyone out there upcoming meetings for ASEAN and ANZ. We have the first kickoff of GTIA ASEAN community meetings in 17 July in Singapore at the Westin Singapore. And we have our upcoming first rendition of the GTIA ANZ Community Forum and Spotlight Awards. Reminder, nominations for Spotlight awardees ends tomorrow. Please send in those nominations of superstars that we should call out our way by tomorrow. And a very, very exciting one coming up as well is the GTIA ASEAN Community Meeting on the 16th September in Jakarta, Indonesia. With that, really a big call out. Thank you for everyone for your time and attendance with us today. A recording of today's session will be shared. And with that, I think with the next slide, just to call out again, as MJ has shared, there is the suggestion box that you can call in. And if you have any further queries regarding your membership or membership benefits, please feel free to send in membership@gtia.org. And we are at time. And with that, please have a very wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining us for today's session.
Thank you, everyone.